Hey, folks, welcome in Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes Day by Day. We're about 3 hours. It was about 3 hours ago that we recorded the free to play show, so that's why the light is such that it is. Appreciate you being here. We're going to talk more about what we talked about in the free to play show. If you didn't watch the free to play show, I talked about a video that I watched from Big Daddy Nooch, Star Wars Dad, Nooch Too Good, whatever, yesterday, and it was about conquest and said a lot of positive things, but he just missed some stuff that I think could have been helpful for people. And that was my big criticism that I had. And I don't think that it was just a criticism. I just wondered, did he not? I'm trying to understand basically of why he chose to not include some other teams. And I want to talk some more about those teams because I love when people do videos like this. I love when people do videos that make you think. And so, because all of the content creator, and I try to do that from time to time, and a lot of times I'm just so. If you haven't noticed, I'm so zoned in on what I'm doing, what's going on in my life, because I mean, because life, for me, my life is kind of a struggle. If you haven't noticed, if you haven't known, or if you're new to the channel, I'll just reset it real quick. For those of you who've been here with me for a while, bear with me. But for the uninitiated, I am a stay-at-home foster dad. Me and my wife have been fostering children for about 10 years. And in that time, we've had 9 children um, along the way. And our first was arguably the hardest time of our life that we've ever had to deal with. We found out that the county lied to us, and it was the very, very toxic first experience. And then when we had our first, we also got our second, who we just knew right off the bat didn't fit with our family. And then we moved on. And then after number one left, because we had number one for 19 months, and then we went down back where I'm from, and took a week off, relaxed, came back. About 2 weeks after that, we got a call about a little girl in the NICU. We ended up bringing it home, and we cared for her for 2 years before she went home to be with her mom. And about 2 months after we got that little girl, we got a little boy who has never left, and we've ended up adopting. And he's the son that I end up talking about. And then then little girl came after the the first little girl I just got done talking about. She was number 3, and number 5 came to us, and she's stuck around. We have kinship care of her, and she's essentially 11 months younger than our son, but they're basically twins because they're the same size. They just started kindergarten together, and that's who I usually end up talking about. So if I ended up talking about the girl, that's her. If I ended up talking about the boy, it's our son. And then we've had another little girl who is now actually being adopted by our pastor at our church. And then we had BJ, who, if you remember what this account was named originally, it was BJ. BJ Will Be Missed, and that was an ode to baby number 7. And then number 8 was the kid that the former foster son that I talk about, who lives down the street. And then number 9 is our current foster son, who I talk about, who I refer to as the baby. here and there. So a lot of stress because these kids have a lot of trauma in their background. And, the older two are 5 and 6 and are trying to figure things out. And the little girl has sleeping issues, and the little boy um, can just have bad days, as we always can. And it's just super stressful a lot of times. And so that's what I usually talk about. And that's what I usually am concerned with, because that's largely what's on my mind. And so that's largely what I impact. That's usually what I end up unpacking on this channel. It's not because I don't want to talk about other stuff. It's just that my mind is, hey, here's what happened. Here's how my day was, you know, just to give you some idea. But I do watch videos about from Arnold and Scribe and all these other people. And when I do, and when I feel like it, when it strikes me as something that I feel like I need to talk about, I will. And so this new conquesting is one of these videos. And so if you're familiar, if you're familiar, what we've been doing is we're gathering shards from Mon Mothma and Admiral Radis. Obviously, we're trying to get Dash done, so we can be done with him. And Dash is helping us out because we need this stuff to be able to make bronze wiring for Rex and Drogon, who we're going to bring up whenever they're done, whenever we have enough stuff sorted out. We're going to need more signal data, so I'm just going to pull some more of that because I know we're going to need it. And then after that, we're planning to go and finish the profundity, and then after that, it's on to whatever's after, whatever we're going to do after we finish the profundity, which brings me to Noosh's video. And I'm probably going to end up doing this across all of the accounts that I have. Is for my free to play. Obviously, I'm working on the Executor, and then my plan was to go for the Executor right into profundity. And we're not going to do that. I'm going to take a break, build a conquest team, build one of the ones that Nooch didn't choose to include in the team, because he said, I guess he admitted, he doesn't know how to operate. He doesn't know how they operate. And so I'm like, well, why don't we find out? Why don't we find out? And one of the things that he talked about that he didn't know how they performed was the Peridia Pals. And that's what I'm working on the Hyperlight I'm farming. I think it's Captain Enoch. I'm farming Captain Enoch, and I'm almost done with Captain Enoch for the Peridia Pals. They're Gear 12. They've got Zetas. And that's for the next time the Peridia Pursuit comes around, is I want to be able to participate and then get going. But the Peridia Pals aren't, you obviously need them for the trial. But and we'll look at them real quick. Let's take a look at them real quick, because why not? Because might as well. I think they're all on their Night Sisters. Captain Enoch is not. Is he actually? It's Remnant. Okay, they're all Remnant. I just was like, what are they under? I wasn't sure, but it appears like they're all under Remnant. They are. So Captain Enoch is a leader. His leadership is Remnant. So we could build a Remnant team. We could build an Imperial Remnant team with Captain Enoch as the lead, and I guess we could use could we use Moff Gideon as a lead, since we have him done. It says Imperial Troopers. I don't know. The Peridia Pals aren't exactly. The Peridia Pals aren't exactly Dark Side allies. Getting protection to health. I mean, so that would be. But maybe we just leave Gideon because I think. So maybe we just use Gideon on the team since he's there. I'm going to use Dark Trooper since he's there. But there's one thing that they talked about. One thing that he talked about is turn meter, and he's like, I don't know if they gain turn meter, and I'm not seeing. Obviously, I don't have this. This is just talking about remnant allies potency, and then it's get down here to 8, and it says Imperial remnant allies have speed. Allies with decay have avoidance and tenacity. Max health, other non-droid. So non-droid, so that means Dark Trooper, I think, is a droid. I'm pretty sure he's a droid. But we're not. But I don't know how this is going to be utilized. Otherwise, we could build. So we could do that. We could try an Imperial Remnant team. Otherwise, he also didn't talk about the Night Sisters, and I do have one Night Sister team up and out running. But there's obviously this other one led by the Great Mothers that we could run. We're just we would just need to farm up the Great Mothers, Morgan Elsbeth, and then whoever else goes on this team, which is probably I think it's Spirit, maybe, and then obviously we could do Talia, Initiate, or Acolytes. And I just don't know what we want to do, but we're gonna end up building one of those teams because there's no reason not to. And it says you at some point when they get it doomed that they do gain offense, so that's something we're going to look at. So, potentially in Imperial Remnant, potentially Night Sisters, maybe Gungans, but we're definitely going to build one of those teams after we get done with the. When we get done on this account with Profundity. Now, obviously, that means we need to finish Leia. Leia is going to give us a team in itself once we get done with her, and so we'll have two. And so pretty soon we're going to have a new fleet with Profundity. We're going to have a GL, which he did talk about GL, so we'll have the Leia team, and then we'll take it some time out and build either the Remnant or the Night Sister team, or maybe the Gungans or whatever, and we'll go from there. So there's a lot of possibilities, a lot of things that I really want to explore, because just going from super heavy build to super heavy build is very stressful. So originally we were going to do Leia, and then we were just going to work on these people up here, and then they're like, "Hey, Executor's crap, so you have to build Profundity," and I'm like, "What am I going to do, right?" And so the plan is finish Leia, because that'll give us another team, obviously, for Conquest. And so when we have that, we'll have the CLS team. We'll have the Rex Phoenix team, obviously, that Nuch obviously said was good. And then the other one was the team with the Poncho Bros, which he was talking about. He was talking about Padme. I do have Padme on here, but the one that I've been rocking with is Kelleron, and it seems to be working. Fortunately, we could bring Padme up. We could, would behoove us. We just need to take Kelleron to 7. And the reason why we're working with Kelleron is it just fits because we need him for this raid. And so it's like, well, of course we would just logically take Kelleron and use him as our leader. But obviously, and then obviously we, that brings up something else. If we took Kelleron up, if we took time to farm Halloween costume Grogu and Paz, then we could go get Mommy Mandalore, and we could We could use the Mommy Mandalore team in Conquest. That's another team that Nooch didn't talk about. So there's a lot of directions that we could be going in, but I want to hear from you. What do you think? Um, of course, did you watch Nooch's video about Conquest teams? What did you think of it? Do you agree with my take on it? And what are some teams non-GL and no? So no GL because obviously that's obvious. Gas is obvious. We know about the 501st. He talked about the 50. He talked about the gas 501st in the video. So what are some other teams that aren't GL and aren't gas that you would say, hey, this you should look into doing this for Conquest? Do you like my idea of going with a remnant team with Enoch lead? What do you think about the Great Mothers Night Sisters team? What do you think about the Gungans? What do you think about the Bad Batch? What do you think of Bad Batch version 2? What about the Gungans? What about Mommy Mandalore? I mean, there's a lot of teams that he didn't talk about, and I know that they take some work, but a lot of them are just so much easier to get than gas because gas is like, I don't know. Anyway, well, let me know. Love to hear from you as always. Appreciate all of you. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, let me know. As always, hold the line and remember that I have friends everywhere. Bye.